What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Chalk Talk. This is the series where I take real football strategies and concepts and then apply them to our favorite football video games. Today, we're going to move over to the offensive side of the ball for a little bit. We've done a lot with defense. We're certainly not done, but we've covered the big stuff. We covered quarters, palms, and cover 3 match and how they work in game. But now, I've been talking about it for a little bit. We're going to move over to the offensive side and dabble in there a little bit. So, I mentioned this in a community post a couple of days ago, maybe it was last week, I think, where I found my inspiration for what I want my offensive playbook in my Rice Dynasty to be. And I always try and have a theme of some kind, whether it's basing it off of a real playbook or just things that I like to run. But I like to have a theme. I don't just want to put random plays that are all really good in there. I want to have plays that are built around each other. Last year, when I played CFP 25, obviously this wasn't on YouTube, but when I played it, I did a lot more of an air raid kind of style and passed the ball a lot more. But this year, I was looking through, trying to find some playbooks and just seeing what I could find. And I stumbled across what I think is kind of a holy grail of offensive mastermind stuff, and that is the 2013 Auburn Tigers offense that I found the playbook for. And I've always been a really big fan of Gus Malzahn and what he does. And I don't need to tell you what he does because on the second page of the playbook, he actually does a great job explaining what this offensive philosophy is. And if you've watched any of the Rice Dynasty, you've seen me doing this stuff. Run the offense at a 2-minute pace the entire game. I don't do that, not quite, because no huddle at the college level doesn't really work the same way as how they programmed into the game, but I run no huddle a good amount when I want to get the defense on their heels a little bit. Balanced attack, taking what the defense gives us. I think I already explained that a bit with how much I love taking access throws, but this is kind of also just general football jargon that coaches like to throw out. But the big one here is having misdirection in the run and pass game. This is the big thing, the big focus that I wanted to get in my playbook for this year. I wanted to almost have like a gun tee kind of feel to it, where we're putting a lot of wing tee principles in with a lot of motion and misdirection. I initially got the idea because I wanted to have a lot of the double motion plays in and the shifts that were new to this game, and that's how I kind of stumbled down this rabbit hole. Stretch the field vertically and horizontally. Despite this being a run-heavy offense, this playbook is chock full of deep shot plays. And if you watch that 2013 Auburn offense with Nick Marshall at quarterback, they took their shots often. So I absolutely love the playbook there. It's the epitome of stretch the defense horizontally and then throw it deep. It is beautiful and do it a lot off play action. There's a lot of cool play action stuff they have in here. Then throw the book at them, right? Running specials and unusual formations, go unbalanced, a lot of wildcat. Unfortunately, this is a little bit lacking in the game. They did put more wildcat stuff in, but I still think that it's kind of more just a situational call as opposed to just something that you can just come out in, because the passes out of it aren't great, and there's not a lot to really keep the defense honest. It's better, but it's still not where I think it needs to be. And then the other big one, present the option in 3 different ways. And that is with zone read, which is your classic option that we all know and love, speed option with a pitch, and then power read option, where the quarterback has the option to pull it and go right up the middle, and then hand off to the back going outside instead. So when I stumbled across this playbook, I knew this is exactly what I wanted to do and start building for my Rice Dynasty. So I'm going to be going over what my favorite formation that I have found so far in the game is, and a couple of the key plays that I've begun building a game plan around and a scheme around. And the formation, as you can see, it's been nearly 5 minutes of me rambling on this one screen, is gun doubles Y off. So let me talk about why I love this formation so much as we get into our first play. And that is going to be motion wide receiver sweep. So the reason I like this formation so much is the first thing is it's a symmetrical formation. We have two wide receivers, or two receiving threats on the right side, and two receiving threats on the left side. Now what this does is it forces the defense to give us something that's very easy to read. If we were to go trips, so for example, if we take our slot and moved him over here, the defense would oftentimes have a check for it. So we talked about this in the quarters video. If we're running quarters against trips, just pretend that we have a slot here, then they would check into stump, where he would be Meg, and then we would poach this safety over, and he would play more so as a deep third player to collect any vertical. If we did it out of palms, then it would check stubby, where he'd be pressed man up on number one, and we get the 3-2 read with the safety reading the tight end to this slot receiver. There's a lot of checks that you can have if you go trips, but if you go with doubles, the defense is going to have to match your symmetrical formation with a symmetrical looking defense, and it's very easy then to also be able to read the coverage shell, which if we can just read how the defense is aligned, you're betting some pretty good money here that this is going to be quarters. Same thing if they came out in cover 3, right? If they put the safety here and they drop this guy down, you could recognize that pretty darn easily. So I love going with doubles formations because you're able to recognize very easily what the coverage is and then be able to call your play based off of that. The second thing I love about this formation, the slot is off the ball, so we're able to do all kinds of funky stuff with him. As we can see in our play here, we have some motion with him, but we're able to bring him orbit motion behind the quarterback. We're able to bring him on fly motion straight across the formation, and then jet, which is going to be having the threat of receiving the handoff. And then the last thing that I love is having this tight end off the ball. Now, I'm very partial to this because this is what I did my last 2 years of college. I was an off the ball tight end, and we had so much to do. There were so many different ways that we could attack blocking assignments. We could go out here, we could go out here, we could go inside here, we can go inside here. There were so many different ways that we could attack a play that was drawn up exactly the same, and we just put a different tag on it to tell a tight end to do something else, and it looked completely different. And then you get into your play action game where you can just boot and have him run a little flat route. That was my favorite route to run, to do play action. Think you're going to kick out the defensive end and then you just dip around him and get out to the flat. That was my favorite play, to run the play action boot. We often did it right out of no huddle, and that's something that I kind of keep up in how I call my plays. I love hurrying up into a play action boot, and there are plenty of them in this Auburn playbook. But we're going to go ahead and get into the first play. It's motion wide receiver sweep. We already kind of talked about that. So there also is a jet touch pass out of this formation, but I like the motion wide receiver sweep a little bit more. So it's a little bit different. So you would expect when you run the jet touch pass, he's just going to run the entire time. He runs, he never stops running, and the QB just pitches him the ball when he gets to the tackle box. We snap the ball, pitch it to him, and he's on the run. This, instead, you're going to see he is going to come in motion and then align as a split back next to the quarterback right there, and he stops, right? And then we're going to get reach blocks here from the tight end reaching on the end man on the line of scrimmage. We're going to get a double team here between the tackle and the guard, climbing up to this backer. We get a double team here, climbing up to this backer, and then we're going to get a seal here from this backside tackle. He's going to collect. I believe the play art shows that he's going to always collect this guy as he's flowing that way. So we're going to get a lot of double teams, and then your running back is your lead back taking you outside here. So this is always going to be meant to hit outside, and then the running back's going to take whoever's most dangerous, whether it's someone from the interior flowing over really hard, or oftentimes it could also be this safety. But I like this play for a couple reasons over the jet touch pass. One, maybe it's because the jet touch pass was just so overpowered last year that I just don't like running it because I don't want to be overpowered. Two, they've made it a lot worse this year. I think that the running back is slower getting out here than he was last year. So oftentimes if you have the receiver running at full speed, he runs into the back and the timing gets all thrown off. And then 3, I like the angle of this handoff more because you're going to see here, we're just going to go ahead one frame. It's a behind the back twist and pivot handoff by the quarterback instead of the pitch that would be, say, up here at like the 32-yard line. We're at the 36 now, so we're able to have depth and actually be able to get out and around the block of our tight end and then pick up speed. And especially if you have a guy in the slot like my guy here with the ball. If you've been watching the Rice Dynasty, you see he's a bit of a breakout all of a sudden because I didn't realize just how athletic he was compared to everyone else. If you have a stud here and you can build up speed, it's much, much more effective. And this goes for the same thing. There was a video that Brett Coleman did a couple of years ago talking about the Bills' run game and why it was so bad. This is before James Cook really took off. And it's because they kept on trying to run outside zone out of shotgun. And it's a little bit different, but a big reason outside zone out of shotgun is not that effective because the angle is all off. Whereas outside zone out of under center, you're deeper as the back. So you're able to build up more speed going diagonally instead of going laterally, because you can't cut when you're running laterally, and I am talking way too much about angles and math and how that somehow plays into football, but it is important, and it's why I like this play more than the jet touch pass. And then lastly, because I was tired of running the jet touch pass and then having plays that I really consider to be run plays being counted as passing plays in the stats. And that was a way that people could cheese getting a Heisman with their quarterback by just running jet touch pass all the time and getting passing touchdowns. So we get into this play. It's really, really good to run against middle field open where you have 2 safeties back deep and you don't have an extra guy in the box. You're going to see it run a couple of times against middle field closed, but this is the second time we're running it. You see we're just going to follow the back out here. Tight end does a good enough job sealing, and we get 6-7 yards out of it. Now, one thing that does change, I believe it's this play. Watch the apex, because the past 2 plays, he hasn't moved with the motion. But I believe on this play, yeah, see, he's running with it. He's actually running with it. This is something that they've put in the last update. They've actually allowed for the apex to try and travel with the motion. Now, it's still not perfect, because I believe no, he keeps going. Okay, he did not stop. He kept going. But it's a bit finicky. But in this case, this is good leverage for the defense because they have 2 unblocked defenders here, and I only have 1 blocker. So now it comes down to me to make someone miss. And yeah, we end up making it happen because the spin move is still really, really good. But that gets put in a situation where this isn't always a guaranteed play, and you have to watch, is that apex flowing with it? If he is, then you're more likely going to have to cut it upfield a little bit, or you're going to have to be really, really fast to get to the corner. But I still really do like this play. We're going to get 1 more rep here, I believe, against middle field open, where the apex, he's still flowing. See, we actually get a bit of a reach there. Our tackle's able to get to him. We're able to get 4 yards, which, if we can get 4 yards, I will always take that. And this says that we're going against middle field open. Right here, that's not right. This is middle field closed. The middle of the field is closed, so ignore that. Bad preparation on my part. But we're running it here against cover 3, and you're going to see it's actually quite interesting. They're going to try and do a late rotation and bring this safety down to be the weak apex because they're trying to bring the passing strength apex, quote unquote, here over. So they're trying to rotate all 3 of these guys at the same time at the snap, which normally is not a great idea if you know that the ball's going to be snapped along with the motion, but they're able to get somewhat in a good position, but not really, because the apex was in the middle of the defensive alignment, and then we're able to get the edge, and we're going to get a really good block here from the running back. I don't read it the cleanest, but we're still able to get a good run here. So this is a great run that you can utilize to get your wide receiver going to the outside. This is a great way to attack the outside, and then you can start going off of some inside counters. I do have an example of me running this in-game. I believe this is the only time I've ran it in my Rice Dynasty. And you're going to see what happens when you're killing teams by running out here. When you're able to get outside and you've been running jet motion constantly, you're going to start to get the defense over pursuing and all running this way. And this is one of the probably best plays, honestly, the entire year that I've had in my Rice Dynasty. So we're going to get the motion, see the apex, he's moving over, and you're going to see at the snap, the entire defense is just charging this way. And this is why it's really important that this dude, your slot in this offense, needs to be an athlete, because the entire defense is running to the left. What do? Just stick our left foot in the ground and take off back to the right. Not something I recommend that you look for, but it's really, really nice if you can get it to hit. So that was a really nice play, and that's just something to be aware of. Now, we're going to get into play you can build off of this, and that is the reverse. They have a DIY reverse built right off of the same exact action. So we're going to bring the wide receiver in motion. The blocking is exactly the same. And the only thing that's going to change is this guy's going to come back. And we have an option to give it to him if the defense is over pursuing. So if you don't want to go ahead and have to stick your foot in the ground with this guy and go back left, you just give it off to him. Now, as far as how you read the DIY reverses, the game tells you that this is your read. So you want to treat this exactly like as if it's his own read, where if he stays out here and widens, you don't hand it off, right? Because if he comes back around, that's a 170-something pound receiver about to get cracked by a defensive end, and that's never a good place to be. However, if he crashes down or chases, then we can go ahead and hand this off. And I have a couple of reps showing this in-game. It's not perfect in practice mode specifically, because the defense is not having that adaptive AI adjusting to what you're calling. So they're always coming out and just playing it as if this is the first time that they're seeing the play. So you're not going to get this crazy over pursuit by the defense chasing the motion. They're going to play it much more standard. But if you're able to run just the sweep by itself, you can absolutely set up the reverse. So here's how it looks. See, defensive end, he's widened out here. Automatically, I'm not even caring about the handoff to the wide receiver. I know that I'm taking this and I'm treating this just like the sweep. Get to the outside, we get 8 yards after falling forward for a little bit. That is a win for us. Here, he squeezes. He squeezes downhill, so I know immediately I'm handing this ball off. My decision has been made before I've even gotten the ball technically. And that is how you prevent mistakes from happening. It's the same thing where if you're doing triple option and you decide to pitch it, right? You want to decide to pitch it, make your decision as early as possible, because when you make a decision late, that's when you get hit late, that's when you fumble. So it's the same situation here. Your decision's already been made and you're just going to live with it, right? We could get a fantastic block out here and this guy could keel over and die, and all of a sudden there's no one out here to stop the run to the right, but our key has told us that we need to hand this ball off, so we're just going to live with the decision. We go ahead, hand it off. You do have to be aiming a little bit. You can't just run in any direction and then press left bumper and he'll give it to him. You got to get close with these two. You got to actually perform a mesh, so it does take a little bit of practice to get it, but once you do, it works pretty well. And you see the entire defense is out of position except for this corner up here, and you can absolutely hit this for some pretty big yardage. We're here about to get 5. That's pretty good. Get 5 yards on a little trick reverse play, and then all of a sudden, in a real life game, the defense now has to be aware of the fact that, oh my gosh, they're going to flip a reverse off of this. And this is something that Malzahn did really, really well with Auburn. This is the first time looking through a playbook, and I've looked through a number of playbooks, where there has been an entire chapter of installs just for reverses. So this was an absolute fundamental part of the offense, which I think is really, really cool and just ties into that whole have misdirection in the run and pass game, which I love. Here, we get a chase here from the defensive end again, hand the ball off, and this is where this can hit a little bit better. See, we're able to cut up field, a little bit of a bad pursuit angle by the corner, and we're able to get 8-9 yards off the reverse, which is really, really nice. Now, we're running outside constantly, right? We're bringing the jet motion, going right, outside. Then we have the reverse going back left outside. We need to have something built off of it that can hit up the middle. And that's where we get into the power read, which was another core aspect of the Auburn offense. And if I remember to, I will definitely put in some diagrams here of their power read game because they ran it a lot. So power read, this is something that some people have a lot of trouble with when it comes to reading because you're kind of doing the opposite, and it's a different motion, different movement. So it may just feel very unnatural, because if this defensive end stays, then you're actually going to pull it with the quarterback. Whereas if you're running zone read, if he stays, you have to give it off. So you have to remind yourself, sometimes even I have to do it, if he stays, I'm pulling it when running inverted read. So we do get the jet motion. One thing I don't like is that this is not the exact same motion. All of these plays, the plays that are runs built off of the jet, utilize true jet motion, where he is running the entire time across the formation, as opposed to him motioning, stopping here, and then the play begins with him continuing the rest of the way. So it's not exactly the same, but the defense, the CPU defense will play it exactly the same and respond to it the same way. They just see it as motion, and they will play it the same. And if you watch the Rice Dynasty, pretty much any episode, I'm running a ton of this. And the defense, they love to chase this if we're able to get to the outside a couple of times. So the nice thing about this is it acts almost as a pseudo jet sweep again, because we have the option, the read is him, and the outside run is going to him, so he's able to get outside again with the back as a lead blocker. So it's really, really nice. So in this situation, defensive end stays, so we're pulling it. We have a pulling guard here that's going to wrap to kick out, or pull to wrap, excuse me, and we're able to get a couple of good yards off of it. I run a ton of power read in my dynasty, so that's why if you're going to run this offense, I think you need a pure runner at quarterback, because you need that ability to make sure that they don't die from wear and tear halfway through the game if you're running your power read for the 15th time or whatever. But I think we have a rep in here. Might be this one where it's a handoff. Yes, it is. He takes one step in. I already know that I'm handing the ball off, right? That's how the option game really works. And if you read about how the triple option worked when they ran out of Flexbone, they talked about reading just the feet of the end man. They didn't actually look at the whole body. They just look at his feet. And if he takes one step in, we're pulling it and we're running. Same thing here, just the opposite. He takes one step in, we're giving the ball off. And we're just going to live with the result, because the read told us that was the right thing to do. And we have some speed. We're able to get to the outside. That's when you whip out your jukes, your spins, and you try and make a guy miss and put him on a highlight reel. The other run that I really, really love out of this, yes, is this one. We're going to get duo. There's a bunch of other runs that I have in this playbook that I like. I have split zone, right? So we get jet, then we get the tight end coming back this way to kick out. We're going to get, trying to get enough colors in here so we can differentiate. We're basically just blocking down, and then the run hits. Should hit right here. Now, inside zone has been a problem in this game for many, many years, in many iterations of Madden, and that carries over to split zone as well, which is a shame because, like I said, I played this position, and this is my favorite block, is to run split zone, where you get a tee off on the backside defensive end because he never expects this block to come. But I like the duo in this game a little bit more, because we get power without the puller, We get 2 double teams here and here, and they're going to climb to these backers. And after the jet, you basically don't have to touch the left stick going to the side whatsoever. All you have to do is just get the snap and go right up the middle. And this is exactly how Auburn drew up their power and counter. Now, they ran power with a puller, a wrap puller. They didn't have duo as a play in this playbook, but this represents how they attack the A-gap so well with the downhill run that it is an absolute core part of my offense. So we're going to run through it a couple of times. We get the jet motion, and then we just run power. We just go straight up the field, get 4 yards, and that's all you want. And this is where, if you have a better running back, I mean, this is my first year of Rice with, I think this guy has like 85 speed. So you get an athletic running back who has some burst, who can just put his foot in the ground and go. It can be a very, very explosive run, and the defense has to respect it, which is what I absolutely love about duo. It's so fast and so downhill, and you get the aspect of power, again, without the puller. So it's really, really nice. I think we'll get one more rep here, and then we'll move to my other favorite run that we can run with this look. And that is going to be the... Let's show it. Where is it? There it is. The counter read option. So we ran duo as essentially what is our power. If you run power, you have to have counter. So we're going to go ahead and run it here. Now, this is where the misdirection, I think, is at its peak in this game. Because what do we have, right? We have jet going this way. We're running GH counter going this way. So we're pulling to kick, and we're then pulling to wrap. Let me just draw in the jet, because I think having all the lines here is going to show how much misdirection there is here. So we have jet, we have jet going right, we have pullers going left, we have the counter can hit to the left, but then we're also reading the backside, and the QB can pull it going right. So there's so much misdirection and movement here stacked up into one little play that I just absolutely adore this. And this is a play that I need to run more. I don't think I may have run this once in my Dynasty so far, but I just need to run this more because this misdirection is just beautiful to me. So we're going to get a couple reps here. These are all gives, but again, it hits very fast. It hits very, very fast. Oh, there's when my quarters versus middle field open went. Whoops, that's some bad editing by my part. Remember when I said that the middle field open was supposed to be back when we were running touch pass for the sweep? I found out where it went. This is against quarters, so that's good. But we're going to go ahead and show this against... This is still a handoff, still a give. It hits very fast. Now, Auburn's counters, they emphasize hitting this more to the A gap. This one always hits in the B gap. So it's not perfect, but here we get a pull read. We take it, slide down, obviously. Be safe with your quarterback unless you got a pure runner who's just absolutely awesome. And then we're going to get into the one pass that I adore, built off of all this motion. And the best part about it is built off of the sweep and not the jet. And it's this right here, the motion PA sweep H angle. This is a beautiful play because you're going to see this is effective against almost any coverage that you're going to get. So against any kind of quarters look or middle field open structure like cover 3, cover 1, you're going to have access throws on both sides here with your comeback routes, right? So, and this is why it's so important that we're running this out of doubles, because we can just come to the line and recognize immediately, easy. This is quarters. We're going to go ahead. We're going to have the comebacks. That's my read. I'm not looking at anything else. I am reading comeback to check down. And the check down is your sweep. That's it. Now, if I get a choice, I want to throw it to this guy here. And that's because the jet motion is going to take the apex away just for a moment. So it's going to open up a better throwing window over here. So we're going to go ahead, see how it looks. And this play is good against multiple different types of coverages. So this is just against what you're going to see with quarters, cover 1, man, and then cover 3 zone. So we fake our sweep. You see the apex. He's running over here. And we're just going to have, there's going to be no chance of anyone covering this. You see the safety does take off this way because he has no responsibility except for number 1. So he is going to try and get out there, but he's not going to have the time to get out there in time to make a play on the ball. And it's a big chunk play here on an easy access throw for us. We're going to go ahead and run it one more time here, this time throwing it to the other comeback route. He's pretty open also. And actually, now that I think of it, against quarters, you might want to run this the other way. This is cover 2. I think I've completely screwed up my editing here. Is this cover 2? Trying to go back here just a little bit. No, this is quarters. This is still quarters. I have no idea what I'm talking about here. But actually, against quarters, I think I actually want to throw this out here. Because what's going to happen? The tight end is number 2 in this case. He's running the post. He's going to force the safety to be stretched vertically and take him, which means that we're one-on-one here. And there's no chance that the safety is actually going to do what he's doing, where he realizes he has no threat and he's going to go to number 1. So, actually against quarters, ignore everything I just said and throw it to this guy. Oh, there's the last play. Man, I'm doing a great job today. I'm doing a great job. Here, against quarters, throw it to this guy. Boom. There we go. 5th time's the charm, or something like that. But now you're going to go ahead and see this against cover 3. You're going to get run 1 rep here. I have no idea what's happened to my coverage indicators text. Just ignore it. I thought I was being helpful. Clearly, I screwed something up here. But now, here we're going to get cover 2. And this is where the play is really, really awesome. Because against cover 2, you're going to have a window here for this post. Now, it's going to be basically right after the fake, where you're going to have an opportunity to fit this ball in to the post for a big gain. So you see we get the motion here, the apex is coming over, and right as we complete the fake, we're going to have a chance, boom, right here. Give it another frame, there. We got 5 yards of space between our tight end and the apex. So let's just go ahead and rip this frickin' ball, man. Now I wait a little bit too long, but nice thing about this play, you have a check down with your swing route. And just get it off to him. That's your gadget guy. Just treat it just like jet sweep. Make a guy miss and get what you can. But let's go ahead and show me hitting the post route. Motion, motion, motion. We fake it. Throw it. It's a tight window. It is a tight window. So you definitely got to have a tight end that can handle it. Right there. We do haul it in. That's good. But I absolutely adore that throw against cover 2 zone. And you're going to see a clip of me running it in game. Now here, yeah, well, if you watch the Rice Dynasty, you know me and Chase Jenkins have a bit of a love-hate relationship with each other. You got to hit the throw first. But it's really nice if you're able to get that post to hit, because it is a big chunk play waiting to happen. And yeah, there's some big hits in there. So it's a tight throw, but you can absolutely make it. Now, last thing here. The last thing this play is really, really good against. Man-to-man coverage. And this time, the angle route is your best friend, because he's going to be matched up one-on-one with a linebacker. And a running back on a linebacker 9 times out of 10 is a mismatch. So let's go through the motions. Fake our jet. There we go. Your quarterback needs to be better than mine and hit the throw. But we're going to run it again. And the running back, he does sometimes run into the tackle. If the right tackle sets out too wide, he will sometimes run into the back, and that kind of janks up the entire motion of the play, because right now, when he doesn't run into the back, this is very, very smooth. It's fake the jet, we motion around, we pivot around, and then basically it's immediately just dump the ball off. But if he runs into the tackle, then it kind of screws up the timing of the play, so it's not 100%. So there is a bit of risk to it. This is a video game. Wonky things do happen because players are determining where they're running based off of lines on the field coded into a game. And obviously not real life where they're smart enough to avoid things. But this is a really, really good passing play because you have answers to off coverage with the comebacks. You have answers to pressed up middle field open looks with the post. You got answers to man with your angle route here. And then if all else fails, you have a jet to a really athletic guy who, against zone coverage, oftentimes will get lost. Just running his little check down out here. So it's a really, really good play. The only thing it didn't really work against was cover zero. I ran just a typical cover zero where we're blitzing both of these backers and he still has his man responsibility on the slot. So it didn't really work there because there was no route that had time to get open off the fake. I was hoping there would just be kind of a flip it to him and just make it work. But if you get a nickel blitz or something like that, or they send 7 and there's no one to account for him, or the safety has to come from depth, then yeah, you can absolutely use this against cover zero too. It's a really, really versatile play that you can build right off of all these other runs that we're doing. And there's a ton of big play potential with it. There we go, we hit the angle route one last time. And now we're going to end with the in-game clip of me running this. So this is obviously a huge situation in the game. We're down by 3 with 1:17 left in the game. Huge situation trying to drive down the field and get a touchdown instead of sending this thing to overtime. Right here, we see the squat corners and the wide safeties. Where the heck is the other safety? Where is he? They have 10 on the field? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do they have 10 on the field? Oh, no. There he is. He was covered up on my play art. I am on a roll today with the editing. Great job. So, we fake our jet, but we recognize it's cover 2 because we see the squat corners here about 5 yards off the ball, and then the 2 high safeties. Automatic cover 2 tell when you see that on both sides. I will definitely make a video about how to pre-snap read defenses. Because when I saw this, I'm thinking automatically before the play even starts, I'm throwing this post. This post has to be the throw here to give me a big play. So we go ahead. I was killing SMU with the jet against the number 10 team in the country. How about that? If you didn't watch this episode, definitely go do it. It was a fantastic game right up till the end. Absolute instant classic. We get to play action here, and look how hard they bite, even in a 1-minute drill. Because I've been running the ball so well this game, look at how hard this guy bit on the play action. So I was willing to sit in the pocket a little bit more, and I'll have to rip this ball right here, right now. I can wait a bit and give my tight end time to climb down the middle of the field and really possibly get just a touchdown here instead of a big play. So we go ahead and settle a little bit, and I highball it just to make sure we get enough air under the ball, and tight end drops it. Of course. So, execution's not always perfect, is it? But it's a really, really good passing play to cap off a fantastic sequence of plays in an overall fantastic formation. I absolutely love gun doubles Y off. It's a fantastic set, and I really, really like what I'm building here with this playbook. And I'm definitely going to make sure to go ahead and post this playbook onto the file share. I will post it, and I will make a comment when I do. I think I'm just going to name it 2013 Auburn and post it like that. That's what I have it named as on my console. But I will definitely go ahead and post it and let you all know when I have posted it. But I really, really appreciate you guys checking this video out. Definitely go ahead and check out the rest of the Chalk Talks, all the other videos that we did on defense. And you want to see this stuff run in real game situations, as I was talking about, you don't always get to see the defense adapting to what you're calling in practice mode. Come over and check out the Rice Dynasty. We are rapidly finishing up the first season. We're in a really good spot. As you can see, we're 7-1 in this game here against SMU. I'm going to try in the next episode to wrap up the final 3 games of the regular season so we can get into postseason play. So that's really, really exciting, and I hope that you go ahead and check that out. That is a series I absolutely adore doing. I also like doing this, but I've been a Dynasty guy since I was a little kid before I started actually caring about the X's and O's of football. So this is my baby too. But I really enjoy, and I'm happy that you guys checked this video out. If you did enjoy, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. Take care.